And what is going on, Devils fans? It is, as always, your host, your best friend, your confidant, your number one source, Neil Villapiano, and welcome to another edition of the Devil's State of Mind podcast right here on the Hockey Podcast Network, as well as Wire Radio, the best place to get everything you need to know about your New Jersey Devils. And as always, Devils fans, I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you're checking out this podcast episode. And as always, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check this episode out, whether you're here on YouTube or also on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. You already know that I greatly appreciate all of the support, everything like that. It's what keeps me going, and just want to, as always, say thank you to you guys. If you guys are here on YouTube, you can kind of see in the background that I'm in a completely different place. I'm actually in a place called Ventnor City, which is literally down the street from Atlantic City. And the reason for that, as I've mentioned before, is that I'm in the process of moving into a new house. And it's going to take a little bit of time before we get there. I think towards the end of the month will be officially when I can move in. So for now, I'm going to be staying here. I believe I'm also going to be staying in a hotel later on this upcoming week. So yeah, you guys are going to see a couple of different backgrounds as I do some of these episodes here as we get that much closer to the beginning of this upcoming season. I'm recording this on August 17th, 2025, and you guys are checking out this episode on Monday, August 18th of 2025. And we're going to continue on here with our season recap for players. We've already done Jack Hughes, and last week we did Nico Hischier, but now it's time to talk about one of the most underrated players in the National Hockey League who had one of his best seasons of his career, and that is Jesper Bratt. And again, Jesper Bratt in many, many ways just continued to catch more attention from the national media. I think that that's how it's been going the last handful of years, right? I think that he has slowly but surely gotten noticed a lot more for his really, really awesome talent and his unbelievable ability to dish out the puck and also score as well. I remember not too long ago, year and a half ago now, I actually spoke to Jesper Bratt's trainer. We also talked about Alexander Holtz at that time, which ended up being Holtz's last season in New Jersey. But one of the things I remember him mentioning to me was how unbelievably skilled Jesper Bratt is, to the point where he could, if he gets it all going, he could be one of the top wingers in the NHL long term. And I think that this past year, he really showcased a lot of that. Now, I understand that a lot of people are going to look at that and say, well, Neil, that's all fine and dandy. And we've seen a lot of what he's done in the regular season, but he seems to disappear a lot in the playoffs. And I can't argue that, because in the 3 years that he has been in the playoffs, he hasn't been the same consistent player. And we're going to get into that a little bit more later on in this episode. But as always, the format's going to be, we're going to go through his stats. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and overall what I think Jesper Bratt is going to do this upcoming season. So as always, Devils fans, we have a bunch to get to here on the Devil's State of Mind podcast. So let's not waste any more time and get rolling. We will get rolling and drop the puck with starting with our first segment talking about Jesper Bratt. And we'll look at what he did in 2024-25. As always, shout out to my friends over at StatMuse for giving me the stats. I know I could go anywhere, but I've mentioned before how much I love just like the cartoon picture here you could see of Jesper Bratt. And I just think it's very simplified and very easy to follow. So again, if you haven't already, make sure you go check out StatMuse, not just for hockey, but you could see on the left there so many different things: college football, baseball, WNBA, soccer, the NBA, NFL. And they also got apparently golf and I'm not sure what the money one is, but regardless, this is the stats. We'll scroll down here to last season. 81 games played, 21 goals, which actually is the fewest goals that he has scored since 2020, 2021, which granted, that was a shortened season overall. So it was kind of hard to tell. But regardless, in terms of scoring and putting the puck in the back of the net, Jesper Bratt definitely was not as consistent. But when it came to dishing the puck, this dude was unbelievable. 67 assists for a grand total of 88 points and a plus minus of +5. And so when you look at the assist numbers, right, over the last couple of years, you go from 47 in 21-22. had a several fewer in 22-23, but then jacked it up the year before with 56 and then beat that with 67. And you look at the points as well, right? It's pretty consistent how much he's gotten better and better over the last handful of years. You go 35, 33, 32, 30, 73, 73, 83, and now 88. I think it is fair to say that Jesper Bratt is really now in the prime of his career and playing at such a high level. And it's really, really great to see. And again, he's going to be one of those main catalysts for the Devils this upcoming year because the Devils are going to need him as well as they need everybody else in order for this team to reach the areas that they want to be in because they have to take a major step. There's no question about it. And if they don't, then as we mentioned before, changes will be made. But again, a phenomenal individual year for Jesper Bratt, who finishes just 2 points shy of what would have been his first 90-point season. And I do believe that he has the capability of reaching over 90 points. I also saw somebody mention that they made a prediction that Jesper Bratt and Jack Hughes are both going to eclipse the 100-point mark. And I feel very firmly that if both of them do that, then this Devils team is going to finish as one of the best teams in the league next season here. But let's continue to move on here. Let's focus now on the good. Let's talk about the things that Jesper Bratt did well, other than just the stats. But again, we will have to get into the stats as well. So again, he led the team and set a career high in assists with 67, as I mentioned before, and he led the team in points with 88. But the biggest thing that Jesper Bratt did last year from an individual standpoint is that he broke the longtime Devils assists in a season record, which was previously held by Devils Hall of Famer Scott Stevens. He had 60 in 1993-94. This graphic was right after he broke the assist record Jesper Bratt did last year, and he finished with 67. So he set a new record by 7 assists. And so now he holds that, and we'll see if Jesper Bratt can beat his own record or maybe someone else on the team starts pushing him for it. I think if I were a betting man, and I would probably say that the two most likely guys that I could see potentially reaching and maybe even passing Jesper Bratt's record is probably Jack Hughes and or Nico Hischier. I think those are the two most likely guys. Everyone else, it's just I don't think they're just not at the same level that Jesper Bratt is at. So yeah, I mean that was a phenomenal individual achievement for Bratt breaking that record. And again, it brought him. I think that same week he also was the NHL's second star. And now you're starting to see him get mentioned more. He was considered to be one of the top wingers going into this upcoming year, according to NHL Network. That's how much praise that Jesper Bratt has been getting over the last year now, and it's great to see. The other big thing is that he was a main catalyst for Sweden in the Four Nations face-off. He did get himself a goal and a couple of assists. I thought overall he played really well throughout it. So to me, I was really happy to see him contribute on an international stage, and I feel fairly confident that it's almost a guarantee that he will represent Sweden at the Milano Olympics starting in February of this upcoming year, barring, knock on wood, barring any injuries, as we have to keep saying here. But we're not only going to see, obviously, Jesper Bratt playing at the NHL level, but we're going to see him playing on one of the biggest international stages out there for hockey in not too long from now. At this point, we are about 6 months away. So I know everybody's saying, oh, let's just get to the season, right? It feels like we've been stuck in August for so long, but the season's going to be right around the corner. It's going to start off sooner than we all expect. And the Olympics is going to come right after that. And it'll be really interesting. So yeah, several really good individual things for Jesper Bratt. Now, let's talk about the negative with Jesper Bratt this year. And there isn't a lot, but it's still worth mentioning. So again, as I mentioned before, only 21 goals, which is the fewest he's had in quite some time. We know that Jesper Bratt does have the ability to put the puck in the back of the net and be a point per game player on a consistent basis. But one of the biggest knocks, if not the biggest knock on Jesper Bratt, is the fact that he does struggle at times with consistency. And we see it not only in the regular season, but as I mentioned before, we have seen it in the postseason. quite frankly, at times he disappears and just doesn't really contribute much at all. And that can be frustrating for a lot of people. And I know that there are people out there that are not as high in Jesper Bratt as other people are. And the only way that Jesper Bratt is going to get people off of his back is he has to perform not only consistently throughout the regular season, but he has to be that way in the playoffs. And at the end of the day, with where the Devils are now, that has to be more of the main focus. Jesper Bratt could certainly have a down year in the regular season, but if he steps up and really becomes that guy in the playoffs that we all expect him to be, then all of that's going to be forgiven. Then nobody's going to really think about, oh, well, he only had 70 points this season or 65 and really didn't have it. If he ends up helping the Devils go on a deep run this year in the postseason and is a main catalyst scoring wise, nobody's going to care what he did in the regular season. And that's because, again, that's where the games matter. And of course, you want to see him do well in the regular season to help this team win. But once you get to that point of getting into the postseason, that's what it's going to be about. So that would be the big thing. And I also would like to add to that is that there are times where Jesper Bratt is too passive. And that's funny considering the fact that you look at breaking the assist record and leading the team in assists. There are times where I think Bratt could have shot the puck. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but there have been plenty of times where I think Bratt just looks to pass immediately instead of just thinking about potentially shooting it instead. So that's kind of the frustrating thing. And that's a knock on several of the guys on the team. But overall, I think for Jesper Bratt more than anybody, I think there are times where I feel that he needs to be more aggressive with putting the puck on net as opposed to constantly looking for someone else, because he does have that ability to score at a pretty high rate. And he can get to 30 goals again. He could definitely push for 35 as well. He could even push for 40 if he's really, really on a high. That's the way that I think that's the ability that Jesper Bratt has. That's how I truly feel about where he's at. But those are really the negatives that I would say from Bratt. I know he also had surgery on an injury he apparently played with throughout the entire year. It's something that's been nagging him for a while, dating back to 2 years ago. So it looks like he'll be fully healthy for training camp. And maybe and you think about it just really quickly. You think about he was playing through a really, really nagging injury and he still put up 88 points. So now that he's going to be fairly, if not fully healthy once the season starts this year, I think the sky's the limit for Jesper Bratt. So I really just I'm really hoping for it. That's really what I'm at the end of the day. That's what I'm looking for. And those are the negatives. Sometimes it's not always super negative things, but those are some of the things that I've noticed, not just from Bratt last year, but in the past as well, in the last couple of years. And I want to see Jesper Bratt be more aggressive moving forward because I think that would be tremendous. So now let's get to our last part here, and this includes my stat prediction as well. So overall, I still believe that Jesper Bratt is fairly underrated. I think that even though he is now getting a lot more national attention, I think I think there's still a lot of people out there that don't appreciate how good of a player he is and how skilled he is. And remember, this dude is a sixth round pick years ago. And he's one of these guys that very, very little to no expectations in 2017-18 and has taken the league by storm since then. And at the end of the day, people are going to look at him and again, they're going to say, yeah, he's super talented, but can he do it consistently? And can he do it in the playoffs? And those are going to be the things that people are going to look at regardless of how good he is, particularly in the regular season. But the thing that gives you a lot of hope is that he has just consistently gotten better every single year. And I showed you before with the stats, just in terms of assists, in terms of points, he's just getting better and better and better. Once he gets his goal scoring up a bit more and gets into that 25-30 range, I think he could become a guy that can push for 90 points and maybe even push for 100 points if he's really, really getting going. And to me, it's just about him being aggressive. I want to see it this year. I want to see him push and be more aggressive moving forward. So those are kind of the things overall that I want to look at when it comes to Jesper Bratt. There's a lot of good, but just like with anybody, there's always still work that can be done to take your game to an even higher level, which I think Jesper Bratt has still yet to reach his full potential as a player. And that's exciting when he's coming off an 88-point season and breaking the Devils' all-time assist record. So Now let's shift to the last bit here, and that is my stats prediction. As again, I have it over here on BlueSky. Follow me, Neil Villapiano, over on BlueSky if you have not already. So I predict that Jesper Bratt will, without question, end up scoring more goals than he did last year. 5 to be exact. I have him finishing with 26. I think he will finish just shy of his own assist record, and I think he'll finish with 64. But I do see him once again taking another step in terms of points, and I see him getting 2 more than he did last year and reaching that 90 mark. And again, as I mentioned before, I believe that he can push beyond that if he's got everything going and the whole team is clicking, and obviously he's clicking. So that's my stat prediction. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below here on YouTube, and also over on all of our social media platforms, Devil State of Mind, both on Facebook and Instagram, and Devil State over on Twitter as well. But on that note, guys, that's going to do it for this season recap player with Jesper Bratt. Thank you guys, as always, for checking out the episodes. Really do appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe here on YouTube if you haven't already. We are approaching 150 subscribers on YouTube, so let's get to that mark. That would be awesome. If we get there before training camp starts, that would be super. So make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to get notified every time a new episode comes out. And again, make sure to follow us on our social media platforms, Devil State of Mind on Facebook and Instagram, and Devil State on Twitter. Also, if you want to just listen to the audio version of these podcast episodes, go subscribe on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you are on Apple or Spotify, do me a favor and leave a 5-star rating on either one of them. Helps to continue to get my podcast out there to more and more people as we continue to grow here and get ready for season 7, not too long from now, of the Devil State of Mind podcast. But again, thank you to everybody for hanging out with me on this episode, and we will see you in the next episode. Everyone, continue to be the awesome people that you are. And as I always say at the end of every episode, put those horns up, baby, and let's go Devils.